think the first question you want to ask your fear of money is, how did you get here? Really, like who brought you here? How did you arrive? Did you come in a nice Uber, or were you like, did you hijack? Did you parachute into my house unwelcome?
Right.
Because that's the thing about fear. You know, this book is about giving fear a chance, giving fear a minute, and saying, but not to say that we have to always accept the fear.
Right.
But let's sit with it and decide if we're going to give it a minute. Because maybe it has a message. And so I think that money is just a tool. I think you would agree.
Absolutely.
We give money too much power sometimes to think that it's like it is dominating us when we're in charge, we're in control. It's just this piece of paper, or digital even now. It's not even tangible. And so the first question you got to ask yourself is like, how did I inherit this fear? And I mean, for me, I grew up, I became this woman who was very independent, feminist.
Okay.
But there was a part of me, I'm going to be very honest, that was afraid to make too much money.
Oh.
You know?
Really?
Because I thought that it would come at a price.
What price was that?
I would become a worse mom. I wouldn't have time for my kids. I wouldn't have time for my important relationships, that people would judge me.
Okay.
Like, I don't know, it's so funny because I wrote a book about female breadwinners and how it's important to, you know, embrace that and celebrate that. But deep down, secretly, I was still battling with, and I was doing well, don't get me wrong, I was like supporting our family, happy in my career, but I would look around and go, wow, that person's making like a lot more money. And then I thought, well, could I? And I said, no. My priorities need to be figured out. Like, that's too much. That's too much for me. And I was talking to this money coach, and she was like, where did that fear come from, Farnoosh? That was I said, well, you know, I just feel like I see around me when people become too financially focused, too much focused on getting more money, that things start to crumble around them.
Yes.
Like, I wasn't trustful that I could double my income, which was already a good income, without sacrificing things that were important to me. So I just said, no, that's not for me. And she said, what are you really, like, she said to me, don't you want to be powerful? I said, ew, no, I don't want to be powerful. That's a gross, like, you know, I feel like that was, like, no. She's like, why? Okay, let's unpack that.
Wow.
Why is the word power so disgusting to you?
Quick pause from today's show. You see, life is a roller coaster of highs and lows. You see, when we're soaring, we're on top of the world, when we're winning, it feels like we can conquer and challenge anything that comes our way. Like, we could win, but let's be honest. When we're going through tough times, when we're navigating through a storm, it can be overwhelming, it can be depressive, and it could be hindering our ability to be the best version of ourselves. You see, over the last 2-3 years, I've learned the transformative power of therapy. You see, collaborating with a therapist can equip you and I with the insights and strategies to empower ourselves, helping us to face life hurdles with newfound confidence and power behind us. I want you to consider therapy. And while you're considering therapy, I want you to consider my friends over at BetterHelp, a top-tier online therapy platform known for its accessibility, adaptability, and affordability. I call it the 3 A's. You see, by filling out a concise questionnaire, you will be connected with a licensed therapist who resonates with your unique needs. The key word there was your unique needs. Moreover, the flexibility of changing a therapist if it's not working out for you is easy with BetterHelp, and you can do this at any time because we want you to find the best therapist that's going to help you progress and move forward in life. Investing in our mental health is a step towards a more enriching life. Investing into therapy is a step towards you building long-lasting wealth. And to facilitate this, you can get 10% off your first month by visiting anthonyoneal.com/therapy. Again, that is anthonyoneal.com/therapy, or you can click the link in today's show notes. But the key thing here before we get back to today's show, start your journey towards self-empowerment today. And let's together resume our path to personal growth. Let's get back to the show. Wow.
I said, well, because when I think of power, She's like, all these narratives, right? Where do they effing come from? You know,
Right,
she's
right.
like, I'm like, well, because when I think of power, I think of like the oil tycoon at the top of the tower stealing money from the little people. It's a very masculine energy, and it's not aligned with me. And she goes, that's one definition of power.
Ooh.
You're using the like MGM, Disney Studios definition of power, the Hollywood definition of power, the hustle culture use of power. But like, there's power to uplift, there's power to support, there's power to be in service.
Yes.
You can use this power in beautiful ways. Find that way.
Yeah.
And when you find your why for that power, you will want the money. I said, yeah, I do want to be powerful in my community. I want to be able to give back. I want to be able to leave a financial legacy. All that is powerful stuff.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I think I have, what I was missing was a real desire and powerful why behind wanting to make the money. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, I was still afraid that I was gonna, all right, now I was lacking the motivation. Now I have the motivation, but I'm still afraid.
Okay.
I'm still afraid that okay, great, yeah, I'm gonna make more money because it'll be great for everybody in my community, but how do I do it? How do I do it that I don't, stop seeing my family? And I said, I got to start working harder and smart, not just harder, but smarter.
Yeah.
So I hired an assistant.
Okay.
I invested in myself and my business, which I was, it's hard in the beginning because you're like, will the ROI be there? But it was.
Who you telling?
Step number one.
Yeah.
Step number two. Well, why that was important? Because she would do all the administrative things, and I could think big picture, establish more relationships, play that long game.
Yes.
Step number two, I just raised my prices. Try it. I dare you.
People are fearful to raise their prices because they're fearful of what people would say about them if they raise their prices.
But you know what? The best advice I ever got around negotiating is if you aren't even a little afraid of asking for the money, you're not doing it right. This happened to me this week, Anthony. A company came to me and they said, okay, we'd like to book you for a keynote and buy some books. What's your price? And normally I would just give them my price, which has been the price for the last 10 years. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to phone a friend.
Yeah.
I'm going to phone a friend. I call a friend, Tiffany Aliche.
Okay.
Budgetnista. And I said, Tiffany, what do I do? I want to say this, but I feel like there might be room for more. What's been your experience? And she just called me. She said, you need to, she asked me to ask for 50% more.
Ooh.
And I said, that's terrifying. I was like, I have never asked for that much money for a keynote.
Yeah.
She goes, but you know what? They're paying it.
Absolutely.
They're paying it to other people that I know that are equally as successful and accomplished as you, just as far-reaching. Try it. And let them know there's room for negotiation, but start there. And I said, okay. And I got it. So listen, if you ever doubt
that money,
raising your 50%, I phoned a friend and she told me to raise it. And I've been in this business for a long time. I should know better, but I would have been happy with the other amount. That was a good amount. But this, I'm like, this is kind of just changed the game.
Yes.
Because now I'm like, this is my new fee.
Yeah.
And all this to say that I was afraid of trying to make more money because I had a false narrative around what that would mean. The fear was rooted in a false narrative that making more money means sacrificing your time. No, it doesn't. It just means realizing, I knew I wanted to protect my time.
Yeah.
So that's what the fear was telling me to do. So then the fear was like, whatever you end up doing to make more money, make sure that you prioritize your time.
Wow, that's it.
And that's it. That was the framework.
Yeah.
And I do these things not knowing I'm being conscious about a framework until I'm writing the book and I'm like, how did I do that thing? And that's the wisdom that I want to give people, because when we're talking about money, the underpinning emotion is fear. If we can get to that underpinning emotion, the decisions get a lot easier, Anthony. They just do. Because when you listen to your fears, what are you actually doing? You are listening to yourself. You are turning inward as opposed to looking everywhere else for answers, which can keep you stuck. It can lead you to dead ends. It can lead to regret. I've done it all. I've done all those mistakes. But I've slowly learned how to be a better communicator with my fear.
Yeah.
And I think it's just accessible to all of us. This is not a book about how to get richer by working harder. It's about how to just tap into what you already have to make the better decisions. And if I, like you, am all about financial equity, what is the more equitable resource than fear? We are terrified 24/7. We are very familiar with fear.